Terence Crawford has been trying to set up a fight with Canelo Alvarez for quite some time, but Canelo has finally responded and slammed Terence for calling him out. Terence thought that this fight would be one of the biggest in boxing, and he tried to come up with a good middle ground and wait for them to fight at eye.
Keeps bringing up Canelo. I think that's weird, because you'd have to gain 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But they say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense for Terence Crawford.
Well, catch weight. You can do something out of catch weight.
What weight you think?
Probably like 160 or something.
But you said 154 is the highest you want to go.
Yeah, 158, 60.
Crawford really thought that this would be a crazy spectacle too. Crawford stated Canelo versus Crawford is the biggest fight in boxing. There's no fighter out there that's a bigger fight than us. First, Canelo has to fight Jermell. Though, and Jermell thinks a win over Canelo will put him at the top of the rankings. Jermell stated, yeah, for sure. I'll be a better pound-for-pound fighter than Crawford if I beat Alvarez. I think it definitely does. I'm already the undisputed champion at super welterweight and would be beating another undisputed champion at super middleweight. It would be a dream come true. I haven't been beefing, truthfully, with Crawford. He's just feeling himself right now. He's a top dog. He's moving up. In weight, everybody wants to fight the best man. I really don't know just yet. If I'm a 168-pound fighter, 168 is considerably still kind of not my weight division. It's not as easy to make 168. I have to gain weight, and gaining weight when you're working really hard is really tough. I could easily walk around at 168. I'm definitely not the naturally bigger fighter. 168 is not my weight division. I think I would have to see Crawford in a different weight category. Sean Porter really doesn't think that we'll ever see this fight materialize.
But all that being said, we not getting no Canelo versus Terence Crawford. But here's what's bad.
Amazing.
Here's what's bad. It's bad that Canelo versus Bud Crawford, I think, makes more money than Canelo versus Benavidez. Of course. I think.
Of course.
Don't make sense. I think you're gonna have to do some strategic promoting to get Benavidez and Canelo to make, the kind of money I think it instantly makes with Bud Crawford.
Abel Sanchez doesn't think the fight should happen because he doesn't like the idea of Crawford jumping up 3 weight classes. Abel stated it shouldn't happen, moving up 3 weed divisions to fight a guy who fought at 175 pounds. Doesn't make any sense to me. It won't be one-sided. Terence is too much of a great fighter for that to happen, but size-wise, Canelo would dominate. Deontay Wilder seems to agree with everyone who thinks that the weight jump is just too much. Deontay stated 147 to 168. That's way too much when you touch those guys at a higher weight class. It's a different feeling. It's like you're a baby. I'm not saying you can't knock nobody out or put punishment on them. I just think it takes a little more time when you go up in weight. The absorbing of the punches is a lot different than with smaller guys. Kyron Davis doesn't think that Crawford would be unable to do any damage, but he sees Canelo being too big of a task for Crawford. Kyron stated, Canelo is a big guy, and it's gonna be a lot. You're not gonna hurt Canelo. I don't think that he can one punch hurt him. No, maybe he can cut an eye or something. He's human. Maybe you can bother him to the body. Maybe he has to get some flesh on his gloves, and he has to go to the body and step around. It's going to be a tall task. People say he's flat-footed, but he moves well. It's not easy. It won't be easy. That'll be a tall task in boxing. Nothing is impossible if I was to Bet I'd put my money on Canelo. Bill Haney actually told Crawford to go after Canelo after he beat Errol Spence the first time.
Any time that you know anything about boxing and you've been studying boxing, the biggest fights, the strangest be happening, and that fight delivered, and it might have even over-delivered in terms of the expectations. We know that both of those fighters can do that. It just is a matter of where they're going to do it. And Terence Bud Crawford showed why he's #1 in the world.
What kind of fight do you expect at 154 pounds? Do you expect a more competitive fight, or could it be some of the same?
Nobody's beating Bud. Nobody's beating Bud right now. I told him go up and go after Canelo.
Bob Arum definitely sees Canelo being the favorite in this fight. Bob stated you'd have to favor Canelo in the fight because he's the bigger and stronger guy. We promoted so many Crawford fights, and he is a tremendous, tremendous talent. I wouldn't count Crawford out in any fight, though. Obviously, Canelo would be a big favorite in that fight. Sakura Stevenson is a full-blown fan of Crawford, though, and he thinks that he could beat Canelo easily.
Bud could beat Canelo. Like I said, I've been saying this. I don't think size win fights. I think skills do. So yeah, I think like being a southpaw with good movement and sharp boxing, it'd be hard for Canelo with that high guard to walk him down and load up on them big hooks. I think Bud would beat Canelo.
Tony Bellew also seems to think that Crawford has what it takes to beat the bigger fighter Canelo. Tony stated Terence Crawford beats Alvarez Errol. Spence is a huge welterweight, and Crawford had absolutely no problem with him. Canelo started at welterweight. It depends what weight they want to make. Crawford go up to, and he weighed over 154. He should say no. I would refuse anything below 160, though. I think he wins at that weight. Crawford is exceptional. His boxing IQ is second to none. You only have people like Basilio Machenko or Olex under USIC who can process things and put them into practice like him, but is also nasty. I spend time with him in the gym and he's a killer. He has a bit of the devil in him. Crawford doesn't care what anyone says, though, and on a podcast with Joe Rogan, he pointed out that he'd take the winner of Charlo versus Canelo.
You want to go up to 68? So who would you fight at 68? Canelo?
If he win, or
Wow.
Charlo, the winner.
Wow.
I
that would be crazy.
I want to be 3-time undisputed.
To jump up like that 21 pounds?
Yes.
What do you walk around at?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I
Oh,
don't
you
know.
don't tell me.
I don't know.
Eddie Hearn really hopes that Canelo beats Trello in this fight, and he sees Canelo beating Crawford as well. Eddie stated, I hope he beats Charlo. If you're going to ask me about the Terence Crawford question, you're talking about two of my favorite fighters, two modern-day greats. I do think Canelo Alvarez is too big for Terence Crawford, as good as Terence Crawford is. In my opinion, you will never see Canelo come under 168 in a fight. I don't think he wants to do that. 168 is still a little bit not tough, but it's enough. So I don't think you see Crawford come up to 168, and I think if he does, I don't think he beats Canelo. So I'm not sure whether that fight happens, but if it does, two great fighters, and I'll favor Alvarez. Oscar De La Hoya definitely thinks that Crawford has a chance, and he doesn't agree with most of the other pros out there. Oscar stated at 168, people might think, how can Crawford beat Canelo? That's not possible in boxing. A big talented fighter will always beat the small talented fighter. That's a given in Crawford's case. He's a big guy, but he doesn't rely on his power. He relies on his IQ. What he did to Spence was magic. Incredible, amazing. One thing about Canelo is that we all know that he walks in the ring as if there is wet cement. His footwork is a little too heavy. Crawford is such a smart fighter, he's like Bruce Lee, literally he's in his peak, his prime. So I think if that fight ever happens, which I don't think it will, I have to go with Crawford. Well, Canelo hasn't seemed too keen on taking a fight with Crawford, and he points out Crawford's resume is one reason Canelo stated no. Look, like I always said, I respect Terence Crawford. He's a very talented fighter, but he just won one big fight. If you see his record, he just beat one good fighter in Errol Spence. Other than that, I don't think he's beaten other great fighters like Spence. Jermell Charlo's a great fighter. He's a talented fighter, and he's undisputed in his weight class. It's going to be a good fight, so I'm happy to be in this kind of fight in the big fights. Pros really think that Crawford is being ambitious for going up that high in weight too.
Be great. That'll be 3 times. If you go 154 and win the belt, that's 3 times super. Then I said chase super greatness. Come on, Canelo. 160.
Well, if he can get in there with Charlo in like his next 2 fights where he still got age on his side, then maybe go up again. Like if he's trying to chase the greatness. But I mean, he already done something that's never been done. Charlo don't want none of that.
Terence is really tired of people doubting him, including Canelo, and he stated here, we go with the I haven't fought nobody but Spence talk, LOL, y'all. So delusional. It's crazy. Well, Canelo has finally spoken out, and he just isn't interested. In fighting, Crawford-Canelo stated they are talking about the fight with Gervonta. I think he said, nobody's going to give me credit if I beat him. It's the same thing. I think it's a no. You guys know, don't try to make that kind of fight if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.